Hi, and welcome to my Portfolio Highlights presentation. My name is Ethan Schiller, and I majored in Educational Studies at the University of Washington, Bothell. In this Portfolio Highlights presentation, I will be highlighting 4 of the themes that you'll see in my ePortfolio and the major learnings I had with each of those themes. As well as that, I will be including the growth and challenges I had as a learner during my undergraduate time at the University of Washington in Bothell, as well as I will be finishing up with what I will be doing next with my degree once I graduate in June. The first theme that I will be highlighting is the equity in education theme. There are 2 major takeaways that I had with this theme. The first one was that students are not having a fair opportunity to an education. The second takeaway was that when we're talking about equity in education, that also means students being able to access materials in the classroom. In fact, what helped me further learn these 2 major takeaways was a class that I took during my undergraduate time, which was B Education 205, Equity in Education in the U.S., where we were investigating the question, does education serve as a great equalizer? We investigated this question through viewing several different court cases, and now from viewing those court cases, I know as an educator it is important to be aware of the issues of inequities, and if we ever plan on solving these issues within our education system. You can see me piece together all my final important aspects of my learning from this course, and with this theme through my final paper, putting it all together. One of the major takeaways from this paper that I'd like to highlight is the final section of the paper where I highlight what's wrong with our education system, and what I highlighted in that was the problem with our education system is the education system is too focused on the funding of schools when we should be focusing on educating the individual children. The second theme that I will be highlighting in this Portfolio Highlights presentation is teaching and learning in a multicultural society. I had a main takeaway from this theme, which was being aware of your positionality in society. And through taking the course of B Education 205, this further helped solidify that takeaway. And I also learned that we have to figure out and be aware of our own positionality in society and how that affects our learning and interactions with students. In addition to this, I learned that it is important to make sure all students' identities and cultures are given a voice and students see representations of their cultures within the classroom. I was able to further explore aspects of this course through my internship with the YMCA, developing curriculum in my Applied Experience course. More specifically, in my Applied Experience course, I was able to create a word cloud that represented characteristics of this particular theme. This word cloud solidified that I'm not a master in this thing, but learned that not all students learn the same way and as an educator, we have to be prepared to teach a variety of students and be able to make all learning materials accessible for all. Bottom line is being inclusive of all students and making sure they know their voice is heard. The next theme that I will be highlighting is theories of learning, culture, and identity. One of my main takeaways from this theme is that students will be bringing in different cultures and identity into the classroom, and it is important to be aware of that. I also took a course that relates to this theme, which was B Education 310, and it was known as Theories of Learning, Culture, and Identity. And it really helped solidify that first main takeaway. It also helped me realize that we need to, as an educator, it is important to learn and utilize students' experiences and create an environment where students learn from each other. Something in relation to this course and theme that I explored in my internship with the YMCA developing curriculum was this idea of student engagement and motivation. Something that I explored developing lesson plans was how to make a lesson engaging enough to keep students motivated to do the whole lesson. I was able to do this through an aura spill challenge lesson. The way I set up this lesson was students would be tasked to clean up an aura spill to learn how difficult and bad aura spills are for the environment. With the lesson being hands-on, it is engaging, and I think it would keep students motivated to do the activity. Instead of teaching students about aura spills through talking at the front of the room with a PowerPoint. Overarching learning from this course and theme is the idea students bring in a variety of experiences, cultures, and identities, and it's up to the educators to acknowledge this and utilize it for successful learning. In addition, think about different ways to keep students engaged and motivated to learn. The next theme that I would like to highlight in this presentation is my Applied Experience course. In my last 2 quarters, I took the Applied Experience course where I was able to obtain an internship development curriculum for the YMCA of Greater Seattle. Going to be honest, this was not my ideal choice for an internship. I wanted to be in a kindergarten classroom, but due to COVID-19, I had to pick a remote internship. But even though I was doing my work remotely, I still obtained a valuable experience. Through my internship and developing lesson plans, I was able to explore aspects of equity in terms of accessing learning materials for students and before writing a lesson, really think about what kind of students will be participating in the lesson. In addition to this, I explored aspects of what keeps students motivated and thought about different ways on how I can incorporate students' experiences and voices in lessons. You can see my big takeaways in my journal entries where I summarize my work during my internship and connected them to the themes in the Educational Studies program, and you can access those journal entries in my archive of artifacts in my ePortfolio. The next part of this presentation will highlight my growth and challenges as a learner during my undergraduate studies. Before being a part of the Educational Studies program, I didn't realize how many deeply rooted issues there were in the education system. I think my biggest challenge in the program as a learner was coming to terms with how many students are excluded from an education opportunity and so many students are mistreated. My biggest growth as a learner through this program is realizing that as a future educator, it is important to be aware of issues of equity and equality and be a support system for my future students and make sure that I utilize my future students' culture, identity, and experiences to support the learning environment. So, so to wrap this up, I'm just going to be letting everyone know what I'm planning on doing next once I graduate in June. After I complete my educational studies degree, I'm planning on working towards becoming a kindergarten teacher. I've recently been accepted into a master's in teaching program at the University of Washington, Seattle for June of 2022. But while I wait to start the program, I'm planning on becoming a para-educator to gain more experience and help my development growth as an educator. Thank you so much for watching my portfolio highlights presentation, and I invite you to look at the rest of my ePortfolio. Thank you.